Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Badlanders, unleash your passion with Badlands Media merch. Dive into the warm weather with Badlands-themed games and sporting goods, from ping pong balls to golf balls, hockey pucks to frisbees, and even a Badlands pickle ball set. Sip your favorite brew, whether it's coffee, hops, or whatever quenches your thirst, all while making a statement. Think rugged tumblers, sleek coffee mugs, beer steins, whiskey glasses, and more. Car accessories from vanity plates to car magnets and tech gear let you represent Badlands wherever you go. It's not just t-shirts and hats. Our store is bursting with bold, high-quality gear to fuel your summer vibe. Check out these Badlanders rocking their gear. Join the crew. Head over to badlandsmedia.tv/merch and grab your official Badlands merch and spread the word loud and proud. And be sure to tag Badlands if you post a selfie on social media so we can say hi. Let's see how far we can reach together. That's badlandsmedia.tv/merch. Wake up to the bold flavors of Loaded Gun Coffee, where passion, precision, and patriotism infuse every sip. As a veteran-owned business, we ensure each cup is steeped in pride and unwavering commitment. Their roasters handpick the finest coffee beans from around the world and have mastered unique brewing methods. Their skilled farmers cultivate the coffee to embody the essence of duty and honor in every meticulously crafted blend. But it's more than just coffee. It's a family-enduring commitment to freedom. With military veterans tracing their legacy back to the Civil War, including Purple Heart recipients, Loaded Gun Coffee is a brewed testament of pride and honor. Dedicated to preserving the integrity and strength of our beloved nation, they proudly stand as fierce advocates for a secure border and a strong America. Stay loaded, Badlanders, with Loaded Gun Coffee. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/loaded and enter promo code Badlands for 10% off your purchase. That's badlandsmedia.tv/loaded, promo code Badlands.
everybody. I hope you had a good time in beautiful Scotland. We did a lot of work with the European Union, and yesterday I spent pretty much a whole day with the Prime Minister of UK, and we had a lot of good discussions. Although I see something came up today which is interesting. So, go ahead. Hello.
Hi, Mr. President.
Can we ask about that? Can we ask about that, please? On Gaza, Sir Keir Starmer has just announced the UK will recognise Palestinian sovereignty in September if Israel does not commit to a ceasefire, ease the suffering in Gaza, and commit to a long-term solution that would deliver the two-state solution in the Middle East. Did you know that was coming? What is your response?
We never discussed it, surprisingly. It was never really discussed. Maybe a little bit at the news conference, but he was sort of discussing it with you. We never did discuss it. And we have no view on that. We're going to get a lot of money to the area so they can get some food. He's going to also. I think the European Union is going to put up money too for food. And hopefully it's going to be properly distributed. And it will be. I think it will be. We have some pretty good response on people for the distribution of the food. We want to take it one thing at a time. They need food, and they need people to be able to get them the food.
But to follow up on that, I mean, is there any use at all in pressuring Israel now to come to some sort of longer-term solution, or at least
you could make the case that you're rewarding people, that you're rewarding Hamas if you do that, and I don't think they should be rewarded. So I'm not in that camp, to be honest. We'll let you know where we are in, but I am not in that camp.
Mr. President,
because if you do that, you really are rewarding Hamas. And I'm not about to do that.
Mr. President, you mentioned setting up food centers. When can we expect to see
Very
those
soon.
food centers?
Yeah, very soon. So we said $60 million. It's a lot of money for food, a lot of money. I can take care of people for a long time. And we want to make sure it's being spent properly. And part of the spending is the distribution. If a lot of money's been sent by other countries, but nothing compared to us. But a lot of things are stolen. They send money, they send food, and Hamas steals it. So it's a tricky little game. But we're going to make sure we have some very good people. They're going to be watching it.
Who is going to be running those food centers for you, and what kind of oversight?
Well, we're going to be dealing with Israel, and we think they can do a good job of it. And they want to do it.
Of monitoring the food centers?
No, they want to do it. The food centers, yeah. They want to preside over the food centers to make sure the distribution is proper.
A great time seeing that beautiful course, but there's some critics who say this was a promotional trip for you and your business. That it promoted you and your business personally. What do you say to that?
I haven't heard that, no. I haven't heard that. Did you get to see my drive in the first hole?
You hit it straight and pretty high, yeah.
Pretty long. Pretty long. That's no Joe Biden, let me tell you. That's not Biden, right? That was a good drive.
When did you last speak to Prime Minister Netanyahu, and when will you speak to him again?
2 days ago.
How many?
2 days ago.
When do you think you'll speak to
We sent money, and I want to make sure the money is spent wisely and is spent judiciously, and that food is distributed in a proper manner. And he wants to do that.
Mr. President, you talked about moving Palestinians out of Gaza. You said that in the past. Do you still support that idea?
Well, it's a concept that some people fell in love with and some people don't. We really have to see how it all works out before we do that. But, you could do something spectacular, but that's a different concept. You could also probably do it if you left some. Some are leaving automatically, you know that. Some would like to leave.
So busy over there. Hi, you guys. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. Great to see all of you. We do have some announcements as we proceed with our briefing, and then, of course, happy to take some questions. This week, the UN is serving as host to an unproductive and ill-timed conference on the so-called two-state solution in New York City. This is a publicity stunt that comes in the middle of delicate diplomatic efforts to end the conflict in Gaza. Far from promoting peace, the conference will prolong the war, will embolden Hamas, and reward its obstruction and undermine real-world efforts to achieve real peace. As Secretary Rubio has made clear, this effort is a slap in the face to the victims of October 7th and a reward for terrorism. It keeps hostages trapped in tunnels. The United States will not participate in this insult, but will continue to lead real-world efforts to end the fighting and deliver a permanent peace. Our focus remains on serious diplomacy, not stage-managed conferences designed to manufacture the appearance of relevance. Also, the United States welcomes the ceasefire declaration announced yesterday between Cambodia and Thailand. We commend both governments for taking this important step to ease tensions along the border. President Trump and Secretary Rubio spoke with their Cambodian and Thai counterparts on July 26th to underscore the need for an immediate cessation of the violence. Building on those conversations, the United States, working in close coordination with the government of Malaysia, co-organized the ceasefire talks in Kuala Lumpur on July 28th. These talks provided a vital platform for both parties to come together in good faith and ultimately reach agreement on a ceasefire. We are also grateful to Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim for his leadership and for hosting the ceasefire talks. President Trump and Secretary Rubio remain firmly committed to an immediate cessation of violence and expect the governments of Cambodia and Thailand to honor their commitments to end this conflict. Further, in the aftermath of the recent typhoon and tropical storm that have devastated the Philippines, the United States remains committed to supporting the Philippine government in assessing the needs and providing critical assistance. The State Department is deploying a U.S.-based team to strengthen the local relief efforts, including supporting food distribution efforts for displaced families and coordinating logistics for relief efforts led by the government of the Philippines. To date, we have helped transport tens of thousands of food packs to the hardest hit communities, ensuring vital resources reach those in need. This collaboration underscores the enduring partnership and strong ties between the United States and the Philippines. Finally, in today's topper, yesterday, President Trump announced a trade deal with the European Union, fundamentally rebalancing the economic relationship between the world's two largest economies. This deal marks a generational modernization of the transatlantic alliance and will provide Americans with unprecedented levels of market access to the European Union. The deal bolsters America's economy and manufacturing capabilities. The EU will purchase $750 billion, with a B, my favorite, of U.S. energy and make new investments of $600 billion in the United States, all by 2028. Through decisive leadership and an unyielding commitment to American workers, President Trump has delivered yet another agreement that positions the United States as the world's preeminent destination for investment, innovation, and advanced manufacturing. Since day one, President Trump challenged the assumption that American workers and businesses must tolerate unfair trade practices that have disadvantaged them for decades and contributed to our historic trade deficit. Yesterday's announcement opens up historic market access to the second largest economy in the world, reestablishing the strong, positive, long-term relationship between the United States and its key ally, the European Union. And before we begin, and I'll take your questions, we've switched things up a little bit here in the front row. I'm looking at some new faces, while all the faces that you guys recognize at home, watching the briefings for these last 6 months, recognize. I have to say that the bullpen members and the individuals that you see on camera have their own fan bases, if you will. So people are excited, of course, each day to see the exchanges, and I appreciate that. But what people may not know are the number of people who come to this room for each briefing, who are journalists with outlets that speak to people around the world. And we think it's time, as I'm used to seeing, well, you far back there, nice to see you, Nadia as well. But I'll be introducing you to the front row today. It'll change for each briefing, but this is an opportunity for us to get to know you for further experience and advancement, for the nature of what Americans in the world see as we answer these questions. Saeed, of course, has his own fan club, but nice to see you over here. It's a little confusing as opposed to over there. So just as a reminder, for those of you watching at home, whether it be C-SPAN, of course, or our State Department account on X, et cetera, wherever you may be viewing us. First over here is Saeed. Saeed is with Al Quds, a bullpen member, as a matter of fact. and Tim with the Washington Examiner here. Welcome aboard, Tim. We also have Yelena, yes, from NTN from Columbia. Vaughn is here with Washington Times, and Danielle, as we noted, and Nadia, who you've also gotten to know here at our briefing. So welcome to the front row. Again, it will change for each briefing. I don't know what Tommy has in mind for Thursday. He'll be briefing on Thursday as usual. But let us begin with your questions. I'll start with the front row. Yes, sir. Vaughn.
President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have issued seemingly contradictory statements on the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Is there a rift emerging between the two leaders, and how is this impacting peace efforts, if at all?
Well, of course, what I won't comment on is the nature of a relationship. What we've seen between the president and the prime minister has been a very good relationship. Certainly, this is a fluid, dynamic situation. That's an understatement when it comes to what's happening in Gaza, especially with the new efforts regarding the humanitarian assistance. Certainly, the president's point of view regarding what we need to do and continue to do, which we have been doing, which is facilitating the food assistance through GHF, but also, of course, the financial investment and the president's work and this government's work and Secretary Rubio's work to stop the carnage, to have a ceasefire, to get the hostages released, and to have the killing stopped. I think that when we look at the nature of remarks by the president, there's one thing that's clear. That everyone can agree on is that it is his humanitarian nature to focus on diplomatic solutions, but he is a realist and he'll go and do what he needs to realize what his goals are, which is peace and a ceasefire. And also, I think the recognition that no one has denied, we have not denied it in this room, that the humanitarian assistance to this point has not been enough. My argument is that it would never be enough in that obscene, unnatural environment. And so we're proceeding in that regard. And of course, with President Trump's leadership, as he noted yesterday, to do even more to assist when it comes to food and other aid. So that's, I think, without getting ahead of the president, as we'll learn more about what his plans are coming up. We know the secretary, of course, has led the way in this regard as well. But the focus remains certainly the humanitarian aid, and our focus remains also on a ceasefire and ending that carnage. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Tommy. I like this position. It's really nice.
Don't get used to it. Okay.
All right. I have two questions, if you don't mind. The first one is about the United Nations conference that is taking place in New York. You just read the statement. We heard the president. We all agree that Hamas attacked Israel October 7th. But there were like 193 nations attending. So my question, led by the French and the Saudis, that struck a deal also with the United States in a couple of months ago. So we understand there's going to be, hopefully, the president is only 6 months in his mandate with the secretary, and they're fighting for a peace deal. But the question is how the State Department envision the future for the Palestinian and the Palestinian state.
Yes.
Is it going to be a Palestinian state, or they're pushing for one state
first of all,
solution?
the president has noted, as has Secretary Rubio, that at least they are envisioning a future, which is not something that most people can say. All of their work has led to getting to a point where we can discuss and envision that future and then act on that. Regardless of the conflict that has been worked on, whether it's Russia, Ukraine, the Gaza Strip, or anywhere else, you can't really begin to contemplate what's next until people stop killing each other. We are still at that point. We have not, because of Hamas's recalcitrance and refusal to lay down its arms, refusal to release the hostages. We're not at a point where we're looking at, what is next. We know things will have to be rebuilt. The president has made remarks in that regard, but from the beginning, calling for new ideas and a new way forward, so that it's not just a repeat of what we've experienced for generations now.
And if I can do a follow-up about the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Yesterday, the president also talked with the UK Prime Minister, and the UK will help in the Humanitarian Foundation, in the aid. So what are we going to see next? Is the president at the State Department see that this organization somehow maybe is not working out for different reasons?
Well, what we said from the start is that this is not about what has not worked. Clearly, we're now, I think, close to 100 million meals have been distributed by GHF. But as we've discussed, there has to be more. There's always had to be more. The calls from the president, from the secretary, and even GHF has been, have more, join us. There needs to be more ideas, more movement. We know, of course, there have been some airlifted airdrops of food. There's been corridors that there's a window for corridors for delivery of more aid. And that's, of course, that's good, that's important. But adding to the aid and to the mechanisms that are there is what we've all called for. It is not an indication that there should be only one. It should be, everyone should be contributing to helping to make a difference here. So far, it has been GHF with a mechanism that has worked to keep the aid out of the hands of Hamas. And that has been fundamental. So it's good news. And of course, as the president returns to the United States, no doubt we'll have more information about how much more good news we'll have regarding aid and supplies. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And hold on, please. Hold on. No, not you. I don't, maybe it's my pointing, or maybe because there's a tall guy here. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I just want to follow up on what Trump has said about setting up new food centers. Will these be part of the GHF?
We don't know the framework of how something would proceed regarding the details. I'm waiting for the president to return and don't want to get ahead of him regarding announcements and what the framework would be.
When do you expect this to be announced?
Considering the nature of the urgency of the situation and everything that President Trump does, very quickly and very soon. But we'll let that play out when he gets here and we get the details from those involved.
And if I could just follow up, the IPC has said that GHF food items require water and fuel to cook, which is largely unavailable. And the IPC's Famine Review Committee said that their analysis of the food packages supplied by the GHF shows that their distribution plan would lead to mass starvation. Has the U.S. vetted what supplies the GHF is providing and ensured that they are providing the necessary nutrients and that they are able to be cooked?
All right, I'm going to pass this off so we can get an answer to you. I do know that, again, the issue here is getting more food, more access, more everything. That has always been at the top of our list. But when it comes to this specificity of what's being handed out, we'll get back to you. Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Tammy. The president has now said multiple times that his administration has pledged $60 million toward food and other supplies for Gaza. The State Department has only announced $30 million for the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Can you say, has more money been earmarked for the GHF, or is there other funds that are going out to make up for that 60 million to 30 million difference? Yet?
I would suggest a question for the White House there. Again, I know what we've done here at State. Clearly, the president is in a position when it comes to decision making, knowing what parts are moving and where things are headed, that they would have probably a better answer for you regarding the rest.
But it's only 30 million for GHF at this point. Can you say that?
From what we, of course, have announced here at the State Department, that's in this particular, I would caution against the suggestion that with what State may have done and what's been announced is a reflection of the complete picture. So I tend to caution about those things. I will caution about that again. But this is, as we all know, a very large issue, a very fast-moving issue, and there's many different pieces that are coming together in how it moves. And so the element that we have announced is an element and does not speak to an end or a final complete piece to what it is we're doing. All right. Yes.
Thank you. Just following up on Daphne's question, I had asked her about what Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is distributing specifically. This was last week's briefing, specifically the high nutrient food that is.
Yes,
needed.
I know it's come up before as well. So,
yeah,
yes.
and you mentioned that you would take that back to get more details on the distribution. I did get a line from this department in response to my questions last week. And the State Department spokesperson had said the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation Award remains subject to strict requirements, vetting, and oversight mechanisms like all department awards. And then they also defer to GHF on the exact food items that are being distributed.
Sure.
There's been a lot that's happened since you were actually last at the podium. As you know, there's been the news out of France, and also now with the UK Prime Minister saying that the UK may well recognize a Palestinian state in September at UN Week if certain conditions are not met by Israel. And then, of course, there's been wall-to-wall coverage on images of starving children, photographic evidence of that. From our colleagues covering the story on the ground in Gaza. So I just wondered whether the vetting process and the strict requirements in this department is now having to take into account, obviously, all of this evidence, this photograph evidence, and is this giving the department some pause on these funds that are meant to go out the door to this organization?
First of all, some of you may have seen a remark from Anna Kelly from the White House about the president's stance and what his plans are. She said President Trump wants to alleviate the suffering for the people of Gaza because he has a humanitarian heart. He announced a new aid plan today to help Gazans obtain crucial access to food. Details are forthcoming. What I will note about what's happening on the ground, of course, is what our focus is on, which is getting more aid in, which is getting a ceasefire, which has not been accomplished because Hamas refuses to do from the beginning. They have been the problem about why this continues to be an issue. We know that, of course, more food aid will be going in, considerably more. And for those, as we care about the nature of nutrition and the value of that, we'll have those details for you. And GHF can be reached. Many of you have reached out to them to ask them for those details. We at the State Department, the Secretary and the President of the United States are focusing on saving lives, dealing with individuals who can stop what they're doing to create peace. And of course, as you know, the President has been frustrated on a couple of fronts regarding the killing of civilians, the using of civilians, the nature of what's happening at too many conflicts around the world. And that's what he's focused on. But it's a good issue to have, if there is a silver lining, about the fact that more food, more nutrition, more access is being created. And that's what we're doing in the meantime, while still trying to stop a war that makes that zone almost impossible. Nadia.
Thank you, Tammy. I have two questions. An Israeli settler called Yanon Levy, he shot and killed a Palestinian peace activist. He's a father of three. His name is Aoud al-Haddalin in the West Bank. This settler was identified by the previous administration as an extremist, and he was under sanction, both by the EU and the US. The Trump administration has lifted the sanction on him. You often say you have the same values with the Israelis. How can you make sure that this guy is accountable when he killed a civilian, especially a peace activist?
Well, of course, I think it needs to be said. It shouldn't have to be said, but we decry the loss of life everywhere. That has been the hallmark of the work that this administration is doing. It is at the top of mind for Secretary Rubio and all of us who work here at the State Department for a reason, because we care about what happens with other people. Here, certainly we care about, it is American First framework, but that value is about peace around the world as well, which also helps us. I would say also that we, as you know, we don't comment on investigations that belong to another government. Israel has investigations that it's implementing regarding situations of this sort. I don't know the end result of what that's going to be, nor will I comment or speculate on what should happen. What we do know, and I don't think we should have to, we have a status here, a posture, where all of this matters to us, to the point where the president's last and only, the second term, but his last effort is to make these things better and to save people's lives. So it is, it's certainly Gaza, a war zone. We're doing our best to make a difference there, and we will wait for the result of an investigation before we have any comment.
Sure, this guy in the West Bank is not in Gaza.
Well, but with the West Bank and Gaza, obviously, the nature of conflicts and what we've been working on, but I appreciate that. Yes, of course. It's the same, I think it's the same argument. We see this in the West Bank. We know when there's violence in general. We saw something unfold in New York City as well with a shooting in New York City yesterday. These things touch all of us. With the hero there being a Bangladeshi immigrant, a cop for 3 years, dies defending New Yorkers. it is the American story, and it's something that we all work to help try to make a difference on. All right.
The second question is, two Israeli human rights organizations found that they concluded that Israeli practice in Gaza has aspects of genocide. The Trump administration has put sanctions on UN officials who concluded the same. So are you going to sanction this human rights organization, or are you going to change your position?
Well, I appreciate that, Nadia, but of course, I'm not going to speculate or say what actions will be. I'm not going to comment on outrageous allegations, effectively, which have also been disputed. But I will, again, I won't preview things or guess or speculate about actions in any regard. Right? Yes.
Can I just ask you about the trucks that are getting into Gaza? Over the weekend, there was an uptick, I think over 100 trucks that got in on Sunday. But at times during this crisis, there have been upwards of 300 trucks delivering humanitarian aid into Gaza. What is the number of trucks that this administration wants to see Israel allow into Gaza on a daily basis?
Well, I won't discuss, of course, details with you or the content of conversations or even a specific like that. What I do know is that there's this overarching work that we've done to make sure as much can get in as possible. At the same time, we do know that the UN had noted that they were not moving material in because of the violence. We know it's a war zone. I mean, that has been the overriding issue, and how to make it safe to get food through to those who need it versus into the hands of those who are causing the destruction and using it and weaponizing it. So we don't, I'm not going to speak to you about specifics or if that conversation has been had. We know, of course, it's in everyone's interest to help stop the kind of environment in general that's happening in the Gaza Strip. It's again monstrous and abnormal, and all of us have an interest in stopping it.
And DHS contracts expire at the end of August. Is this administration pushing for those contracts to be renewed?
I won't speak on the details of contracts or agreements, or if that's accurate or if it's not. Yes.
Thank you so much. Two very quick questions. Secretary Rubio, for the past several months, has been wearing two hats, both leader of the
Four hats.
Many hats, but specifically Department of State and NSC. He has shrunken down the NSC and called it right sizing.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, are these two roles being sort of merged together into the same official, or are they being fulfilled in two separate capacities?
Well, I can't speak to the decision-making about the nature of what he's doing as the NSA. I'm here with the State Department. Of course, he is the Secretary of State. What I can tell you is when I've been on various trips where the NSA, the National Security Advisor, and the Secretary have been there together, it's the same kind of work. It's working together seamlessly. Of course, there'll a great deal of time of overlap regarding the nature of what's happening in the world. So it seems and it appears to be working out smoothly and effectively.
My second question, today, Kim Yo-jong in North Korea, the sister of Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un, published an official statement regarding the U.S.'s desire to denuclearize the peninsula. While rebuking the United States, the memo did include a line stating that Kim Jong-un's relationship with President Trump is, quote, not bad. And I'm just wondering if the Department of State is familiar with the nature of bilateral relations between the U.S. and North Korea at this time and why they might have said that.
Well, I would suspect that you should contact the White House when it comes to the relationship between the president and another country. Of course, we do know, as we see now, as we saw in the first term, President Trump's willingness to talk with everyone in order to achieve the peace and prosperity and some semblance of normal life for people around the world. Regarding the note you mentioned, or if it was a social media tweet, I don't have a remark on that, of course, but the White House can tell you more about the president's approach with North Korea. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Sam. Me?
Yes, you.
Okay. I have two questions too. The first one is, after President Uribe's conviction, will the U.S. consider any sort of action similar to what we saw after the decision against former President Bolsonaro in Brazil? The first one. And the second one, after you answer?
Yeah, so regarding the verdict, the verdict with former President Uribe, yes? Yes, well, the Secretary of State put out a tweet on this as well, noting that former Colombian President Uribe's only crime has been to tirelessly fight and defend his homeland. The weaponization of Colombia's judicial branch by radical judges has now set a worrisome precedent.
And the second one is, with the U.S. allow Chevron to operate in a country led by an administration charged with promoting terror and drug trafficking?
Well, I can tell you this, and I love your very direct questions. What I know that there's two separate details that I don't have in front of me that I want us to take and get back to you in that regard. What we have said repeatedly, though, is that we will not allow oil revenue to fund or benefit that regime. And so I think that's something that we can repeat here at this point. But when it comes to some further details, let's see if we can get you. All right, Saeed.
Thank you, Tammy. And I must admit, I feel a little bit vulnerable and closer to the floor here.
Wow.
I was always shielded by the front row.
Well, see how
right
you're
there.
thinking now, but
That's okay.
trust us, you're
I
fine
have a
without
very- yeah.
without the Italian rule about never
okay.
having your back into an
Right.
open space.
Very quick question. You know, IPC said today what's going on in Gaza is famine. And the reason they didn't classify it as such is because they need the actual data and they have to be in Gaza to collect that data, which Israel prevent them. So my two questions.
Well,
to you-
let me just say, as you know, I might, is that there is someone preventing people from getting into Gaza, and that's Hamas. Hamas is preventing everyone from being able to get in there, whether it is reporters, whether it's food deliveries, or those who might need to assess the nature of what's happening on the ground. People are afraid of a terrorist group, the masterminds of October 7th, which slaughtered babies up to the elderly, when they're living, dismembering them, putting a baby into a microwave, murdering women as they're raping them. That set of people are running the Gaza Strip. So it's understandable why people are concerned and can't get in. It is not the Israelis who have been defending themselves in this framework and who are ready to sign a ceasefire deal and have been ready for weeks to do so.
Well, in fact, the Israelis are preventing everybody. They control the area, but that's another issue. My question to you: does this add the kind of urgency that would allow more trucks to follow up on Kylie's point? More trucks, and to the level that it was before, it was something like 400, 500 trucks, especially during the ceasefire. And second, would the U.S. call on Israel to allow these groups to go in and give them, the facilities they need to report actually and factually from
We've
Gaza?
had progress here from the beginning of this conversation, and with the catastrophe of October 7th and what has unfolded since then. We've discussed all the time about what we need, and we've had progress. We've had, again, close now, I think, to 100 million meals distributed by GHF. We have had more trucks now moving into the area. Israel making accommodation to be able to try to allow that to happen without people being in danger. So we've seen this progress being made. When it comes to the number of trucks, I would caution that it's not an issue of numbers, but clearly the posture of the president, of the Secretary of State, is that all of this has to stop and everything has to get to whomever it needs it. That's not where that may end up being a certain number of trucks. It may be a certain other kind of effort, new ideas. So it's not. I would just ask that we focus on what we've been focusing on here, which is having this violence end so that we can do a wholesale reformation of that area, stopping of the violence, and a wholesale view of that a future really can exist. Yes, ultimately, it's going to be the best scenario. Everyone can go into Gaza and help. The president clearly will have ideas. The partners in that area, whether it be Egypt or Qatar and others, Jordan with their airdrops, everyone has an interest in the resolution of this. And inevitably, of course, it'll result in everyone getting what they need. All right. Yes, Abby.
What is the U.S. position on the UK saying they will recognize the Palestinian state before the UN this September? I know my colleague brought it up, but considering they're using it as leverage to try to stop some of the starvation that President Trump himself said he's concerned about taking place in Gaza.
Well, I think President Rubio's statement and my statement that I issued regarding the conference, the two-state solution, the fact of the matter is his remarks also when President Macron of France also did something similar in this regard, that this is a slap in the face to the victims of October 7th, that it rewards Hamas, and it harms the ability to stop this framework from, it allows it to continue. It gives one group hope, and that's Hamas. It is a rewarding of that kind of behavior, that if you wait long enough, if you don't cooperate, if in any other normal environment where someone was so utterly defeated, they would surrender. In this case, that just does not occur. And part of it is because of perhaps the hope that they receive on how long the suffering lasts, how much that pushes the world to acquiesce to their arguments. And that is, there's one group that benefits from the images and the reality of the horribleness, and that's Hamas. And so there's a reason why they don't cooperate and stop. And this adds one more thing onto it that adds into their apparent posture that this is a winning thing to do. Clearly, we are of the opposite mind. And that I think we can say in general about that issue.
President Trump said he didn't mind the UK Prime Minister taking a position on statehood. Is that, can you explain what the difference is?
Well,
there
obviously, I'm not going to speculate on the president's reasoning, but I do know that none of us are in the business of telling people not to speak their mind. At the same time, I'm a big believer, as I know the secretary is and the president is, and we showed this, I think, last November, is that persuading people, explaining your position, why it matters, how it impacts what we all want to achieve, is something that we must do, and that it's the way to persuade people, to change people's minds. So it doesn't surprise me that that is what he said. But of course, we also know, as I described, the nature of our situation here, about what that does in our efforts to stop the carnage. Yes.
Thanks so much, Tammy. Appreciate it. GHF, there's, according to the UN, there's been about more than 1,000 Palestinians killed at or near the aid sites since May 27th. Does the US have an assessment on that number?
It is not, that's not something I will speak on or go into the details about regarding our assessments of that situation, certainly a wartime situation, but in the details and the numbers, no, I won't speak to that.
And you mentioned the details of this new aid plan will be forthcoming. Are there people, will they be forthcoming to the State Department, or are they coming from the State Department? Are there people in this building working on something right now?
Well, it's the White House who noted that. So the White House noted that the details will be forthcoming. We, of course, all work for the president. He is the guiding hand here, and he gets ideas, and he knows more than all the rest of us know. So we are excited about his commitment, the fact that he and Mrs. Trump are humanitarians and are working first to make America first, so that Americans' lives can be predictable and strong, and we have a future we can look forward to, but also that obviously is translating around the world as well. Yes, sir.
Ukraine, if I may. We have new deadline, and Ukrainians are certainly hopeful that the president's new deadline and his tough words about Putin, Russia, will follow with certain concrete actions. And in fact, yesterday you told the media that now we are going to see some actions. Now, with the caveat that we have 10 days to go. Can you give a sense of?
Oh, you might not even have 10 days. I would just suggest, even when he set that 50-day timeline for Russia, I think one of the things I've said is, that's, who knows when that could happen. He's had timelines before in which he acted very quickly. So with the president, he also noted that he shortened that timeline because he pretty much knew what the situation was.
My question is, can you give us any sense of any preparation that going on in this business, so the Russians take it seriously?
Well, clearly, President Trump has proven that he should be taken seriously because he's a serious man. And we've seen the results of that around the world. Again, most recently in the Indo-Pacific, and of course, with his envoys and the nature of the commitments we've made. I would say that what's been discussed regularly are sanctions, and the president also brought up the issue of sanctions and even secondary sanctions, as certain countries are benefiting from buying Russian oil. But that's up to the president. We've known that's in his toolbox. There are many things that he can do, just as there are many things that Secretary Rubio can do and help facilitate. But the president himself mentioned those two dynamics. He has been patient, and that may have been misinterpreted by some people. And I think the time for misinterpretation is now over.
On that point, I mean, the president said that he knows the answer, and he also thinks that there's no reason to wait. If there's no reason to wait, then why wait 10 days?
Well, again, you're asking, as we know, there are a million fronts in these kinds of dynamics. There's negotiations that go on. I can't speak to what the president's involved in, the conversations that are currently being had, and the importance of what the president says privately and publicly. I would just trust that he's the one who would know. And being in a position here at the State Department where we're all ready to do what we need to do to get this situation accomplished for the president. All right, Eric.
Yes, thank you, Tammy. I wanted to ask two questions. One on the impact of potential secondary sanctions, potential secondary tariffs. Is there a concern that that may be too blunt an instrument in that some U.S. allies or countries for which the U.S. Has been partnering and having negotiations, fruitful negotiations, as we saw today, for example, China or India, could be hit, that there could be a boomerang reaction from such sanctions, secondary sanctions, or the EU, other countries that would be inadvertently hurt in a way that would be counterproductive to broader U.S. goals?
Well, no doubt. I'm not in the business, though, of the negotiations. There are questions that are asked about everything with the actions that might be taken. And I would presume, as we should, that all of the impact would be considered. Obviously, the president's first effort and first desire to solve problems is through diplomacy. For people who might be confused, I have a few comments that I can share with you from the president at first here. I'm disappointed in President Putin. I'm very disappointed in him. I'm going to reduce that 50 days that I gave him to a lesser number because I think I already know the answer. What's going to happen? He also said, yes, I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 to 12 days from today. I think that was yesterday. There's no reason in waiting. I want to be generous, but we just don't see any progress being made. He said 10 to 12 days. I'll announce it probably tonight or tomorrow, but there's no reason to wait. If you know what the answer is going to be, why wait? And it would be sanctions and maybe tariffs, secondary tariffs. And he says, we are going to do secondary sanctions unless we make a deal. Based on common sense, you would think he'd want to make a deal. We'll find out. The president is not someone who is making a decision on the fly. This has clearly been consideration from the beginning. And we're prepared to do what's necessary.
Thank you, Tammy. Following up on my colleague's question about Colombia, we know that we have a president and a secretary of state who take a great interest in what happens in the Western Hemisphere and pay a lot of attention. We've seen the president's attack and criticism of the Brazilian judiciary, but I'm wondering what makes a judicial process a radical process or radicalized by judges or otherwise inappropriate. I mean, is it determined by who ultimately is convicted or charged, or what's the context or the judgment, the qualitative judgment as to what makes a politicized judicial process for this administration?
Well, the secretary, like the president's, a very talkative young man, and he's very clear about what interests him and why it matters on virtually every issue. He does long form interviews. He's got his Twitter that he participates personally in, statements, op-eds, all of which he's personally involved in, and expresses the nature of how he's making his decisions and why. So I will let his work speak for itself, including, again, current comments and no doubt more comments and explanations, if you will, or opinion pieces to help explain why these things matter, why corruption matters, how it might look whatever country you live in, and why it's important to stand up against it. All right. Yes, sir.
Yes, hi. Thanks. A lot of my colleagues have asked a lot of the questions I had, so I'm going to totally change subjects
Well,
if I
all
may.
right. Sounds good to me.
There are millions of dollars worth of contraceptives stocked in Belgium that are due to be incinerated in France. It's our understanding that they're still stocked in Belgium. They haven't moved to France. Could you give us an update as to where that stands? I know that the Belgian government is trying to find alternative solutions. Is the US government ready to find alternative solutions, or are they destined to be destroyed?
Well, I want to have that taken back. This is a situation that changes each day. What I can tell you is, for those who've asked previously, there are no AIDS drugs involved in this. No PEPFAR dynamics are set to be destroyed. This is a situation regarding birth control and other mechanisms that could be used. First of all, that would violate our Mexico City policy regarding the use of abortifacients, but also the use of some elements that could be used in a kind of forced sterilization framework that some nations do apply, which also we will not facilitate. So we can say that there's no AIDS drugs, no condoms are being destroyed. This is about a long-standing, I think this was a purchase from the previous administration. And so we're dealing with that, but we're aware of it, and we recognize the issues. But we also, of course, are committed to policy that Americans care about, and we're going to be moving forward. No doubt, we'll have some additional information for you in perhaps the coming days. Yes, ma'am.
Return to your statement at the top. Could you explain why talking about Palestinian statehood or Palestinian future in Gaza rewards Hamas or is a slap in the face to the victims of October 7th? And I'm asking, given that none of the parties involved, to my knowledge, who are involved in these discussions or have plans to recognize statehood, have said anything about wanting Hamas to be in power. It seems like, according to the United States, according to Israel, and obviously as well as all these other folks involved in these conversations now at the UN, no one has expressed a desire to have Hamas in power. So how is that? How does it reward?
Well, I think that it's very often, not most often, actions speak louder than words. And our argument is that there are certain actions you can take that reward in the midst of the defense of a country after a horrific atrocity implemented on October 7th. And the end result is, create a two-state solution, solve this problem, when in fact the problem was mass murder and just an indescribably obscene environment. And then the continuation of the terrorism of the people of Gaza, the first victims of Hamas. Still, the nature of living in that environment, the hostages that remain held, the weapons that remain held, and a refusal. We had a ceasefire early on. We had a ceasefire on October 7th. We had a ceasefire early on. They broke that. And there is a point where you don't find ways to placate or reward the people that have done such horrible things to humanity. The actions of what is being suggested, and I think we've made clear here, do just that. And it is, I think everyone deserves better. Certainly first the Gazan people, but certainly the world itself.
Can I
All right,
follow
now
up?
we're going to continue. Yes, sir, in the green shirt.
It has been reported that Taiwanese President Lai's trip to his Central and South American allies with transit in the U.S. has been postponed. Could you elaborate on this, or did the Washington or the State Department play a part in this delay?
Well, I do have something I can tell you about this. Taiwan has not announced any travel plans for President Lai. So that is generally a hypothetical now. I know it's been in the news. There's been a lot of questions and a lot of suppositions here that have happened, but I can say that it is a hypothetical at this point. There have been no plans, travel plans for the president. There's been, as a result, nothing canceled. I can tell you, though, a reiteration that transits by high-level Taiwan officials, including presidents, are fully consistent with our longstanding policy and practice. This has not changed. And just as a reminder for people who may have not heard us say this from the podium, if they're newbies, The United States remains committed to our longstanding One China policy, which is guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint communiques, and the 6 assurances. The United States is committed to preserving peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, sir. All right, Abby, one more time.
Can the State Department confirm or offer comment on reports that 2 Americans were recently detained in Iran on suspicion of spying for Israel? Have they since been released? Has the State Department or the U.S. been in touch with Iran regarding their detainment?
I can't speak to that at this point, but hopefully I can soon. And I think that's going to be it for today. Thank you, everyone. And again, Thursday, a lot of these things might return with more and new information, but you never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. Now, the president, I believe, will be back. Tommy Pigott will be at this podium. And thank you so much for being with me today. And my thanks to our guests here on the front row. It was great getting to know you. I appreciate it. And we'll see you again on Thursday. Thanks, everybody.
Introducing All Good Ingredients with Purpose. All Good is making self-care great again with clean, natural essentials that deliver results. Elevate your hair care routine with All Good's Deep Conditioning Tallow Hair Mask. In just 30 minutes, every few washes, this powerful formula deeply nourishes, strengthens, and restores radiant shine, leaving your hair soft, manageable, and frizz-free. No PFAs, no carcinogens, and no BS. All Good uses only purposeful natural ingredients like 100% grass-fed tallow and premium organic oils for unmatched quality. Customers are raving, calling it a game changer for their dry hair and purely natural magic. So ditch the mainstream chemical-laden products and redefine your self-care routine with All Good by Jessica Storm. Try the hair mask and the rest of the collection yourself, including the new tallow sunscreen. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/allgood and a portion of your purchase goes directly to support Badlands Media. Use promo code Badlands for 5% off plus free shipping over $75. That's badlandsmedia.tv/allgood, promo code Badlands.
I think many would like to leave if they were given an alternative. They really have no alternative now. But certainly that was a concept that was really embraced by a lot of people, but also some people didn't like it.
Prime Minister Starmer, he was kind of critical of Israel and said more pressure needed to be put on Israel to allow food to get in at speed. Do you feel that Israel is a good?
I think Israel wants to do it. Actually, I think Israel wants to do that. They're going to want to, and I can tell you that they want to do it. They don't want Hamas stealing the money or stealing the food, and that's what they've been doing.
Israel can be trusted to allow more food in faster?
I think Israel wants to do it, and they'll be good at doing it. If they do it, and if they really want to do it, and I think they do, they'll do a good job. The food will be properly.
There's a perception maybe that Keir Starmer didn't do so well in the press conference yesterday. Do you have any words of support for him?
I thought he did well in the press conference, and I thought, I think they made a good deal. I think we all made a good deal. Why are you hearing otherwise? I guess.
Yeah. I think the feeling is that he was maybe a little weak and didn't really have very strong answers, and maybe wasn't entirely honest about free speech and immigration.
I like him. I think he's good. I think he's a great representative for UK. I haven't heard that.
In your meeting with John Swinney today, did you offer to drop tariffs on Scotch whisky?
We really didn't discuss it much, but I have a lot of respect for him.
Mr. President,
I didn't have a lot of respect for the woman that preceded him. I thought she was terrible as a First Minister of Scotland. But I think John is doing a very good job as First Minister.
Mr. President, your Treasury Secretary and Howard Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce, the China talks wrapped today. Any sort of reaction coming out of the meeting? They're extending the truce. Are you pleased with that? Would you like to?
I just had a phone call from Scott Bessent, and they had a very good meeting with China. And it seems that, they're going to brief me tomorrow. We'll either approve it or not. But he felt very good about the meeting. Better than he felt yesterday. Yesterday I said, "Ooh, here we go again." Here we go again, but today it worked out very well.
And
I think the result is probably.
I saw a report from Reuters that India is preparing to face higher U.S. tariffs between 20 and 25%. Is that what you're tracking, or what do you think the rate will be for
That
India?
they are going to pay 25%.
Yeah, that India is preparing to face higher U.S. tariffs between 20 and 25%.
Yeah, I think so. Look, India's they're my friends, and he's my friend. And, they ended the war with Pakistan at my request, and it was great. And Pakistan did also. We did a lot of great settlements, including the recent one, as you know, with Cambodia, blah, blah, blah. So that was a great one. I think that's been pretty well finalized now, right?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Did I do a good job in that one? I did a good job in about 5 different wars. Do you think I'll get credit for it? No. Will I get credit for it? She'll say yes.
Is the deal with India finalized?
No, it's not.
Okay. So what rate are you expecting?
Well, we're going to see. We're going to see. But India's been a good friend. But India has charged basically more tariffs than almost any other country. You know that, right? Over the years. But now I'm in charge, and you just can't do that. I think the trade deals are working out very well, hopefully for everybody. But for the United States, they're very, very good.
On the Wall Street Journal case, lawyers are seeking to depose Rupert Murdoch. Pardon me. Can you say what the lawyers hope to get out of that?
No, we're going to see. It's in the lawyers' hands. I've been treated very unfairly by the Wall Street Journal and everything. I mean, I don't know. They even hired people from the Washington Post, third-rate reporters, gossip-type reporters. It's all gossip. And, I've been treated badly by the Wall Street Journal. I would have assumed that Rupert Murdoch controls it, but, maybe does, maybe doesn't. They are talking to us about doing something, but we'll see what happens. Maybe they would like us to drop that. And so we'll see.
Does that mean they're settling talks?
Yeah, they want to settle it.
With money involved?
He's treated us wrong. I mean, when I get treated unfairly, I do things about it. So we'll see what happens.
On Gaza last week, you were rather dismissive of President Macron when he recognized the Palestinian state. Today, you're saying you don't really.
That's his opinion. He can have an opinion. It doesn't mean I have to agree. Emmanuel's a good man. He works hard. Got a lot to say about everything.
But now you're saying you're not taking a view on Keir Starmer's announcement. Does that mean your view is evolving?
I guess Starmer is doing the same as Macron, right? Is he saying the same thing? I think so. Essentially, they're saying the same thing. And that's okay. But, it doesn't mean I have to agree.
Mr. President, you said yesterday your falling out with Jeffrey Epstein was over him taking some of the workers from your business. But your administration in the past said that you threw him out because he was a creep. So can you explain that discrepancy?
Well, maybe they're the same thing, sort of a little bit of the same thing. But no, he took people that worked for me, and I told him don't do it anymore, and he did it. And I said, stay the hell out of here.
So is that what was meant by being a creep? I'm the travel pool, but I'm with NBC News.
NBC fake news. NBC's one of the worst. What else do you have?
On Air Force One, the new Air Force One, when do you expect to be flying on the new Air Force One?
They say February, maybe? Much sooner than the others. The others are being built. Long time build. That's a long time build. Now, they're not normal 747s. They, have a lot of things on them that another plane wouldn't have. But we'll get this one a year and a half, 2 years earlier.
How much will it cost to retrofit it?
I don't know. That's up to the military. I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't been involved. It's their plane. It's, the Air Force. They'll be spending an amount of money. It is a different plane because it becomes for military use. So, but I don't know what the number is.
Any questions about whether the amount that it'll cost in the hundreds of millions of dollars, whether that's worth it, since considering how little time you will be able to use it?
It's a great plane. It's one of the best planes in the world. The Air Force is going to have it. We're going to have a great 747. We need it. If you look at this plane, it's 32, 34, 35? I don't know. It's old. It's a good plane, but it's old. Can't get parts for it anymore. It's very hard to get parts. They have to go and take from the older planes. So it was time. When you look at 747s and, the heads of state from especially the Arab countries. You look at from Saudi Arabia, from some of those countries, and you put it next to this, it doesn't show well for the United States. And if you remember, it was Obama that wanted to get the plane. He was the one ready to sign a contract. And because he wanted to sign it, I assumed they paid too much. And I was able to get about $1.7 billion off the price, maybe $1.5 billion to $1.7 billion off the price for the exact same plane. And they're building it, but they're taking a lot longer than they should have taken.
There's a report that a Secret Service agent tried to get his wife onto a support plane for this mission.
That's a weird deal.
Have you briefed
You're
and are you
going to leave
concerned?
the wife in the car? Wouldn't you think that might be a little dangerous? You know, I don't know if that has proper compression. I don't know. That's a strange one. I just heard that 2 minutes ago. I think Sean's taking care of it.
Mr. President, you talked on Russia.
Is that a serious story?
I think it's that. Well,
keep her in the car, and she's going to be in a freighter.
Will you tell me the details
Those
on how
freighters that don't have, you know.
you could just keep her in the car? Tell us how it was going to work.
I don't want to get involved, but it's a strange story. I just heard that one.
Mr. President, you said that you were going to
The British farmers are so grateful for what you said yesterday about the importance of farming, because we have changed inheritance tax with death taxes.
Farmers are so important. Some farmers are, you know, they liked what I said on a couple of things yesterday. They liked what I said for the farm. I'm a big farmer person. I love the farmers. I think they're great. And we have to steer the laws so the farmers don't get hurt in our country and in their country. But Europe has a big immigration problem. But they also liked when I said that they have one of the worst mayors anywhere in the world in London. He's a horrible mayor, nasty guy, stupid guy in my opinion, but he's a nasty man. And I want nothing to do with him. But I didn't think it was a big statement. And so many people said, thank you for saying that. He's a bad guy. Khan is his name, I guess. He's done a lousy job, I can tell you that. A terrible mayor. But people liked it so much when I said that.
Mr. President, yesterday you mentioned that you would change the Russia deadline to 10 to 12 days. Has that started yet, or when can we, see the official statement that is the new deadline?
I'll tell you what, I'll give it to you now. Do you want a big scoop?
Yes, please.
Everybody else, close your ears, okay? You ready?
I'm ready.
10 days from today.
Got it.
Okay?
Got it.
Good.
Have you communicated?
We have a scoop. And then, we're going to put on tariffs and stuff, and I don't know if it's going to affect Russia because he wants to obviously probably keep the war going. But we're going to put on tariffs and the various things that you put on. It may or may not affect them, but it could.
Have you any of the families of the victims of the Manhattan shooting?
I don't want to tell you that. I don't want to tell you that.
Have you spoken
That's a
with
very,
their
that's a very, boy, that's a bad one. That's a bad one, but I won't tell you about that.
Have you talked to Mayor Adams? Have you spoken with Mayor
I have,
Adams?
yeah.
One of the other things our readers liked from yesterday was when you were talking so forcefully about illegal immigration in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
One of the big political flashpoints is migrant hotels, where people are being put up while their claims are processed. People see it as a source
Beautiful
of
luxury hotels.
They also think there's low security and it's a problem for their communities. Is that appropriate, or does Britain need an alligator Alcatraz?
It's not alligator. It's just that they're putting people in luxury hotels, and other people that are working their asses off are living, from hand to mouth. They're not living the same way. I mean, I looked at some of the hotels they're using, and they've done it in our country also. They put them in like the best hotels anywhere in the world because they could get rooms there, thousands of dollars a night, and other people are living out on the streets, including our veterans. They can't get a room. Our veterans are living on the streets. There are pictures of our veterans saying right by the door where they're walking in to live, and the veterans are sitting out on the sidewalk in front of a fancy hotel, and the illegals are coming into that hotel and staying there for a week. That's no good.
Just to button up on Mar-a-Lago, you're saying that Jeffrey Epstein poached 2 of your staffers. Who were they? Were they
I don't
young?
want to say 2, or I don't want to say any number. You're talking about many years ago, but yeah, he took people, and because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. They work for me, and he took. Beyond that, he took some others, and once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like when they steal people. I don't like it.
Did anybody anybody ever go to prison for a social media post?
Are you saying that that's taking place in the UK?
Yeah.
Oh,
really? Yeah.
I mean, I'm hearing that. Well, I looked at him yesterday. Well, they said they canceled Truth Social. I'll bet it's uncanceled very quickly. I'll bet it's uncanceled. Yeah. No, it's a little different. It's different. I see it in some countries that you would never suspect it. Not only there, I've seen it in other countries where, they're like bread and pudding countries, I think, and then all of a sudden they become somewhat violent. When people go socialistic, or when you get the radical left or the left going in, the countries actually become very mean. They become two things: mean and incompetently run simultaneously. How is Caroline doing? Is she doing a good job? Look at her. She's such a star. Come on, Caroline. Come here.
Chloe wanted to watch, sir.
Chloe, do you want to come over? Chloe is she's a great golfer, a great talented golfer. She's probably the most talented golfer other than Kai, but I think it's about the same, right? Don't you think?
Yeah.
She hits the ball long. This little girl has a lot of muscle, right?
Yeah.
So, and she wins every tournament she plays in of her age.
Yes, very fun.
You love golf, right?
Yes.
But she's a great athlete.
How did the golf course play today? And be honest, did anyone in your foursome hit that massive bunker on the ninth?
That is a massive bunker. Fortunately, nobody did. Well, I played two of the guys who were pros and really good players. One of them won the tournament last year, and you could see they were very good players.
Who at the moment holds the course record?
Well, we played a first round. I think. We only played one round. This was our first round, so I'd have to go into that exactly. But they're two both really good players. One of them, is the one who, the story. Bieber. You know who that is?
You might have to tell me.
So he took Tiger, I guess, to 18 holes. Tiger, went wild with his putting, meaning he started dropping putts from all over the place, and Tiger took him. But that's the quality. They're really good players. We had those two guys and terrific guys, two terrific guys. We had a good time. But I was watching. The only shot that mattered to me was the drive in the first hole, because if I would have missed it, you would not have let me forget it.
Did you take a bit of a practice? You were on the driving range beforehand?
I hit some. Yeah, I did. I hit some balls on the driving range. It's a great course. It's been fantastic. I built one, and then I had to build this one. Otherwise, you would have lost your zoning. You have like a certain period of time to build it. So they built it. It opened. My son did a very good job on building it.
You said you thought it was the last dune course. Are you talking about environmental regulations? You think
We obey the regulations, the environmental regulations. You really want to, and it's top of the line. It's really, the pros were saying this is as good as any course they've ever played. It's as good as it gets.
The course was surrounded by windmills. Did you talk to Starmer about?
I did.
The
I think
or-
windmills are a disgrace. I think they hurt everything they touch. They're ugly. They're very inefficient. It's the most expensive form of energy there is. People hate it when they become visible from their house. When you see them from a house, the value goes down by 50% and more. They make noise. When they're out in the ocean, they're bad for the sea life, very bad for the whales, obviously, because they wash up on shore like 9 times more than they did without them. No, they are really bad, and they cost a lot of money. There's not a wind farm that's put up without subsidy. So instead of making money, what they should do is open up the whole North Coast oil. They have tremendous oil right there, right where we play. And they've made it impossible for people to drill. It's crazy. That's one of the best oil areas in the world. They've made it impossible for people to take it out. Instead, they put up these ugly windmills all over the country and all over the world. I don't know what it is. Nobody likes them. They have the greatest lobby, but it's starting. I think I'm starting to get to it now. They're bad energy. They look bad. They kill the birds. They're really terrible things. And it's the most expensive energy of any energy there is. And in fact, not every, I guess, I don't know, maybe some, but almost every windmill put up need subsidy from the government. So instead of making money, they lose money. And that's why UK energy costs are very high. Because when we were flying over to the plane, they're all over the place. It's terrible. It's a terrible thing. I'll say it till I can't speak anymore. And I think we are having an impact. And they're starting to take a lot of windmills down. I mean, they're literally starting to take them down. They don't work, they're bad, and they're too costly. And every year you see them up there, the government is paying a lot of money. Whereas if you have oil, if you have other forms of energy, you make money on it. In other words, you bring down taxes.
Well, your friend Bryson DeChambeau said LIV tour players weren't playing enough linked golf. Is that something we might see at the...
Well, links golf is just different golf. It's quite a bit different. I love Bryson. Bryson's great. He's a great player, very powerful guy, long hitter, great putter, great everything. And it's interesting because he plays well in links course.
But is that in the future for the greatest 36?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, we have a tournament this weekend there, and we have another tournament next weekend, big tournaments. And we're looking to get the Irish Open at Doonbeg. You know, I have a course in Doonbeg in Ireland. And we have a lot of great tournaments coming to mind. I build the best courses. That's not only said by me, that's said by everybody.
Dr. Russia, sir, since you made the announcement of the 10 to 12 days, have you gotten any feedback or any officials gotten any feedback that it had a response that Russia is going to do something?
No, I haven't had any response. It's a shame. So I used to say to you, 5,000 people die a week. Now it's 7,000 people are dying a week. Mostly Ukrainian and Russian soldiers, but people also from having bombs dropped on their head. It's a disgusting war.
How worried are you on the oil markets if you were to put sanctions on Russia?
I don't worry about it. We have so much oil in our country, we'll just step it up even further. I mean, oil is down pretty low right now. We'll step it up even further.
I heard you mention compression. How were you feeling out there when you were playing? Like, how did you feel? Because I think it's the first time you played since you saw the doc, right?
I felt good. I thought it was great. I thought the course was great. It looks even more beautiful than I thought. You know, we did the first one like 11 years, 12 years ago, and it's gotten tremendous reviews. It's one of the best courses in the world. And I had the other piece of land to do this one, also on the ocean and the North Sea. And we really have, and by the way, the North Sea is the exact term for the oil. They have the greatest, among the greatest reserves. It's tremendous, and they're not using it. Instead, they're putting up these stupid windmills. It's so crazy. UK could reduce their energy costs by 70% if they would use the North Sea oil. It just doesn't make sense. It's just not a liberal thing to do, but it's becoming more a liberal thing to do. I love being out there. It was great. Good feeling.
UK and the US both have increasingly unhealthy populations.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, we do, don't we?
Well, I can see it.
I'm interested in the work that they're making very healthy again.
I can see it. I should think about it for myself. Bobby's doing a great job. People are loving Bobby Kennedy and the whole group, Dr. Ross, and Marty McCary. We have a fantastic group, and you're going to see a lot of things happening over the next couple of months. I mean, true activists, and they're going with the science. And if you take a look at some of the problems, some of the diseases that are coming up to a level that we've never seen before, there's something wrong. There's something wrong, and I think we're going to solve the problem. But he's really working hard. All we're doing now is statistics, and I think we're going to make a big change. We're going to save a lot of lives. When the babies are born and they end up having problems that they've never had before, and by like 15 and 20 times more. So there's something wrong, and we're going to find what it is pretty soon. We think pretty soon.
Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. I'm just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Were some of them
young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were young women?
In the spa. Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told him, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons that include from Virginia get free?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know, none whatsoever.
We've seen how good your security detail is this weekend, and the team around you are amazing. Amazing. Do you have any answers yet as to what happened with the assassination attempt? Having seen them in action, it seems remarkable that was able to
Assassination with. They just weren't as good that day. They had a bad day. They shouldn't have had a roof that was, unpatrolled. They should have had coordination with the local police because, you had a lot of talk going on. You had the woman screaming, "There's a man up there with a gun," and a number of people were screaming, "There's a guy up there with a gun," and they didn't have. The one group wasn't hooked into the other group. I'll tell you, the Secret Service shooter David was amazing because in 4 seconds it was over, and if this lunatic was allowed to keep shooting, because they had a lot, tens of thousands of people there, so a lot of people could have been killed. I mean, we lost a great person and 2 people very badly injured, but the shooter, 1 bullet. Think of that, 1 bullet from a very far distance. It's amazing. So he was great.
Do you feel like it's changed you as a person?
I don't know, maybe not, but it's. I like to not think about it. It affects some people greatly. I can't afford to be affected because I have a job to do. So I like not to think about it.
Does it not
I think about it too much. It's probably not a good thing.
Does it not go through your mind at all on a morning like this morning when you're outside, there's a crowd, and you're
I don't think about it. I think you see the kind of protection now. It's. I think they're very good. It's a whole different level. Look, these people went to Biden and Biden's people and asked for more help because I was having rallies, 60,000, 70,000 people. I had 115,000 people, and Biden would have 2 people. Nobody wanted to see the guy, and he'd have a bigger security detail than I had. And they were asking, Sean and the various people were asking for more people, and they were denied. So they denied them, and so you could make that case. I don't think they made that case well because I knew for a fact that they were asking for more people a lot. They haven't wanted. They have said it, but not that publicly. But they wanted more people, and the Biden people would not give it to them. And we had massive crowds. You were there. We would have routinely 50, 60, 70,000 people, and he would have nobody. He couldn't fill the circles, the 8 circles, and he didn't need very many people. And so that was a problem too.
Can I ask about the First Lady? You mentioned a couple of weeks ago her role in talking to you about the war in Ukraine and perhaps it being part of your evolution in thinking. Have you discussed the crisis in Gaza and the terrifying, horrific shootings?
She thinks it's terrible, and she sees the same pictures that you see, and that we all see. And I think everybody, unless they're pretty cold-hearted or worse than that, nuts. There's nothing you can say other than it's terrible when you see the kids. And those are kids, whether they talk starvation or not, those are kids that are starving. They are starving. And you see the mothers, they love them so much, and there's just nothing they seem to be able to do. They got to get them food, and we're going to get them food.
Do you plan to attend the G20 summit this year in South Africa?
No, I think maybe I'll send somebody else because I've had a lot of problems with South Africa, and they have some very bad policies. Very, very bad policies, like policies where people are being killed. A lot of people are being killed. So I think I probably won't. I'd like to, but I don't think I will.
Any update on when you'll meet with President Xi? When can we expect that?
He wants to meet, and I look forward to the meeting too. But I would say before the end of the year. Just to go full circle. So we had a very good meeting today. If you would have asked me the question yesterday, no, it wasn't looking too good. I would have said maybe I might have said nothing, but I might have also said it wasn't going too good. I just heard from Scott that the meeting went very well today with China. Thank you all very much. Enjoy the flight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can't make it to Deadwood? No problem. Join us virtually for the 9th stop on the Badlands Great American Restoration Tour. Streaming live August 15th through 17th from legendary Deadwood, South Dakota. Experience GART from anywhere with our exclusive virtual live stream ticket. Your pass unlocks front row access to lively discussions and the premiere of Codex 9/11. All from the comfort of your own home. Make new friends and have your questions answered live from the group chat. Grab a ticket to join us in Deadwood. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/Deadwood and get your pass today.